Here's our Raptors reporter, Josh Lewenberg, from Toronto's annual Media Day. And we begin with Brandon Ingram, who was acquired last season ahead of the trade deadline. Still yet to suit up for the Raptors. Had that ankle injury last year. Josh, how do you think he'll fit in on this roster? And specifically, Josh, how will he fit in the starting lineup?
Yeah, that's the question for Brandon Ingram, or the second biggest question anyway. The biggest is always health, and the good news is he's going into training camp healthy, so he needs to stay that way. But from there, it's going to come down to fit. And he addresses an obvious need, I think, on this team when you look at their lack of half-court scoring, a go-to score in the half court, a go-to score at the end of games. And so he's going to step right into that role. But the concern, or I guess the question is a better way of putting it, is whether or not he's going to be a fit in Darko Rajakovic's free-flowing offensive system, and whether he's going to be a fit specifically with Scottie Barnes and RJ Barrett, a couple of players who occupy similar spots on the court. And that's why the team has made a concerted effort to keep that projected starting five together in team runs, drills, workouts throughout this summer, getting them as many reps as possible. Because remember, this is a group that hasn't played a single minute of NBA basketball together yet. So I know a lot of people are interested to see what it's ultimately going to look like. And this fit with Ingram is ultimately going to determine how successful this team can be this season.
So the Raptors have a lot to prove this season, Josh. You know that, coming off a pair of rebuilding seasons. They have the 11th highest payroll in the association. They've got veterans. They've got young players. They've got 9th overall pick Colin Murray-Boyles. What is a realistic expectation, Josh, for this team this season?
Yeah, well, something that kept coming up today is that this is a team that has a lot to prove. They've got a chip on their shoulder, collectively and individually and from top to bottom. I mean, Bobby Webster down to Darko Rajakovic, and just about everybody on this roster. Scottie Barnes is going into the first year of his max extension and coming off a down season. He has something to prove. Emmanuel Quickley coming off an injury-plagued season. He has something to prove. RJ Barrett, after hearing his name come up in trade rumors throughout the summer. And then, of course, nobody on this roster has more to prove than Ingram, who we just talked about. He just came in at 77 on ESPN's annual player rankings, and I think that speaks to how far his stock has fallen over the last few years because of those injuries. So, yeah, I think they're not going to be lacking for motivation individually, and collectively, the expectations, at least externally, are pretty modest. Most sports books have their projected win total anywhere from 37.5 to 39.5. So somewhere in that lower tier of the play-in race. And internally, the team doesn't see themselves that way. They believe that they're better than that. Certainly you look at their payroll, one of the most expensive in the NBA, and it should be better than that. They're not lacking for talent, but it's going to come down to what they can ultimately do with that motivation, if that chip on their shoulder can actually push them to reach their lofty goals. And right now, whether or not they want to admit it, and a few of the guys did today, it's playoffs. They've got to make the playoffs this year to justify, I think, the steps that they've taken in their rebuild and ultimately expediting the process for this season.
Toronto's coming off consecutive seasons with more than 50 losses for the first time since Vince Carter's rookie season in '98. Wow. Josh, thanks for this.